All right, picture this. You're in a dusty parking lot somewhere. Maybe it's South Africa, maybe it's Havana. A dude strolls by, hoodie up, bandana tied just right, gold glinting off a chain. Someone pulls out a phone. The dude looks up, flashes a smirk, then disappears into a crowd. The video hits the internet like wildfire. Comments explode. That's him. Nah, no way. Bro, look at the walk. And just like that, the legend of Tupac Shakur refuses to die again. You see, Tupac didn't just leave behind music. He left behind a ghost story, one that lives in YouTube sightings, grainy photos, and whispers from people who swear they saw him last week grabbing a beer in a tiny Cuban bar. This isn't just a case of celebrity worship gone wild. The deeper you go, the more things stop adding up, and the more you start to think maybe, just maybe, Pac pulled off the greatest disappearing act in music history. Let's rewind to 1996, Las Vegas. It's fight night. Mike Tyson's in the ring, the city's electric, Tupac is there with Suge Knight, head of Death Row Records. After the fight, a scuffle breaks out in the MGM Grand Lobby. Surveillance cameras catch Pac throwing punches at a guy named Orlando Anderson. He's connected to the Southside Crips. It looks like a spontaneous brawl, but some people believe this was all part of the plan, a distraction, a setup, the beginning of an exit strategy. Later that night, Tupac and Suge hop into a black BMW, cruising down the Vegas Strip, windows down, music up. That's when it happened. A white Cadillac pulls up beside them, gunshots. Tupac gets hit multiple times. Suge gets grazed. They rush to the hospital. The news spreads like wildfire. Tupac Shakur, critical condition. Doctors say he's slipping. Then suddenly, just like that, he's gone. Declared dead on September 13th. But here's where it gets weird. First, the inconsistencies. Suge Knight said they were laughing on the way to the hospital. How does a guy supposedly unconscious crack jokes minutes after being riddled with bullets? Then the autopsy drops. Tupac's listed weight? 215 pounds. If you've ever seen Pac shirtless in any music video, you know he was nowhere near that. Dude was lean, probably 160 max. That's a 55-pound difference. And nobody questions that? Then there's the cremation. The man hired to handle it allegedly got paid $3 million, 0 cents, cash. And then he vanished. No paper trail, no witnesses, no funeral footage, no memorial, just gone. Suge later said he never saw Tupac's body, not once. No open casket, nothing. One day they're joking in a hospital room and the next it's like Pac evaporated. Fast forward a few years, Suge Knight's son Suge Jr. starts posting photos to Instagram. One shows a man who looks suspiciously like Tupac chilling with Beyonce. Another one, Tupac next to 50 Cent. The captions? Stuff like, "He never left us." It sounds like trolling until Suge Jr. starts posting text messages where he claims people are threatening him to stop leaking these photos. Whether it's for clout or not, it reignites the flames, but nothing grabs the public like one word: Cuba. That theory hits different. It's not just wild internet talk, it has roots. Tupac's own aunt, Assata Shakur, is a fugitive from the US who's been living in Cuba since the 80s. She was granted asylum. Yet if anyone could help Pac vanish into thin air, it's family like that. So when a photo leaks in 2018 showing a guy who looks exactly like Pac standing next to Rihanna in Havana, the internet doesn't blink. They believe. Some folks think it's just urban myth. They say people see what they want to see. But then you dig deeper and start hearing stories that feel too real to brush off. Like the one where a man visiting Cuba claims he randomly met Tupac at a quiet beach bar outside Havana. Said the guy introduced himself as Pac, bought him a drink, and spoke about the old days like he'd lived them. When shown a photo later, his friends back home were floored. Same tattoos, same eyes, same voice. But no selfie, no proof. Just a story passed along with wide eyes and a shaky voice. And that's the thing with Tupac. Every time the door to the past seems sealed, another crack opens. Another video, another blurry image, another person stepping forward with some wild tale. One even showed a man on a small fishing boat, claiming Pac goes out there every morning, throws his line in the water, and disappears before noon. He apparently lives off what he catches, no security, no entourage, just Just a man who used to be everything, now content being no one, but why would he leave it all? That's the real question. Tupac was at the top, a revolutionary in hip-hop, charismatic, dangerous, emotional, brilliant, and constantly surrounded by chaos. The East Coast-West Coast beef was spiraling out of control. Biggie was his rival, the streets were talking, and there were rumors, whispers, that Pac knew something was coming, that people wanted him gone. Not just rivals in music, but government eyes, industry puppeteers, theories about the FBI, the CIA, even elite music execs who feared what Pac could become if he kept speaking truth. Now, mix that with Tupac's obsession with a man named Niccolo Machiavelli. He wasn't just some dude Pac name-dropped, he studied him, quoted him, and most famously adopted his name, Machiavelli. That's what his last album was released under, the Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory. On that album, he didn't just rap. He sent messages, lyrics about betrayal, surveillance, reincarnation. The artwork? Tupac nailed to a cross, staring directly at you. It wasn't subtle. Here's where it gets deeper. Machiavelli, the real one, once wrote that a ruler could gain power by faking his death to fool enemies. If you were Tupac constantly under fire, what better blueprint to follow? He was already paranoid, already convinced people were watching him, and if you really wanted to disappear, what better place than Cuba, a country with no US extradition, a family connection already there, and a government that could keep secrets. Then, a filmmaker named Rick Boss added gasoline to the fire. He went public with claims that Tupac not only faked his death, but planned it down to every last detail. According to him, there was a body double involved, a helicopter evacuation, and a team that helped Pac disappear while the world mourned a decoy. Sounds crazy until you remember the inconsistencies, the wrong weight, the vanishing cremator, the sealed medical reports, the missing surveillance footage. It all feeds the same question: what if this wasn't a tragedy but a getaway? Even Suge Knight, the man who was right there in that car, started planting seeds and nobody saw a body, he said during a radio interview. Pac was laughing, joking, then he was gone. The way he tells it, the end never felt real. And Suge's not the only one. Multiple doctors gave conflicting reports. First conscious, then coma, then critical, then dead. It was like the story was changing by the hour, and not one version made total sense. Meanwhile, Tupac's lyrics, interviews, and philosophies suddenly start sounding less like poetry and more like prophecy. Maybe he wasn't just trying to be a legend. Maybe he was trying to escape before the legend swallowed him whole. Years pass, yet the sightings never stopped. One minute he's in Malaysia, the next he's spotted boarding a ferry in the Caribbean. Sometimes it's a restaurant security cam, sometimes it's a fan who swears Tupac passed them in an alley wearing a hoodie and gold-rimmed glasses. But always the same comments, same eyes, same voice, same energy, but never the same place twice. It's like chasing a shadow that knows how to stay just out of reach. Pop culture eats it up. Rappers reference him like he's still watching. Kendrick says Tupac left to find peace. Eminem jokes that Pac dipped out on all of us. Even newer artists who weren't even born when he died claimed they felt his presence in the studio. Documentaries dissect the theories. YouTube rabbit holes spiral into hours of speculation. Everyone's trying to solve a puzzle with no edges. The internet keeps fueling it too. A leaked photo here, a sketchy voice note there. AI might fake some of it now, but some videos existed way before that tech got good. One in particular, from 2012, shows a man in a parking lot turning to a camera, flashing a quick grin, then disappearing behind a tinted car. Side profile, bandana, same build, no context, no audio, just vibes, and a whole lot of speculation. People say it's obsession, that grief never processed becomes conspiracy, that fans just don't want to let go of a hero. But the thing is, most conspiracies don't come with this many contradictions in the official story. Tupac's case has holes you can't ignore, even if you try. The messed up autopsy details, the lack of concrete evidence, the paid-off cremator, the friends who sound like they're lying without actually saying anything false. It's not that people want to believe he's alive, it's that they can't fully believe he's gone. Then there's the music. Not just unreleased tracks, but songs that seem to predict everything. Lines about enemies circling, about knowing who he could trust, about escaping. Pac always sounded like he was one step ahead, like he knew how the game ended and was riding from the finish line. Fans comb through every bar now like scripture, hunting for clues he might have left behind. Was he telling us? Was he trying to warn us? Or was it all just the magic of good storytelling? And that's where this whole thing flips. Because maybe the real mystery isn't about whether Tupac is breathing somewhere under a different name. Maybe it's about the fact that even decades later, we're still talking about him like he never left. He's become more than a person, he's become a question, a challenge to the idea that truth is ever simple, that death is final, that legends stay in the past. He once said, "I'm not saying I'm gonna change the world, but I guarantee I will spark the brain that will." Maybe that's the whole point. Whether he escaped the chaos or not, Tupac made himself eternal. His music still moves people. His face still shows up on murals, in protests, in dorm rooms. And every time someone mentions his name in a lyric, it's like lighting a match to keep the flame going just a little longer. So was it the greatest escape in hip-hop history, or just the most persistent myth pop culture has ever created? The truth might be locked away in a Cuban bar, floating off a fishing boat, or buried deep under concrete. Or maybe it doesn't matter, because one thing's for sure, Tupac didn't just make music, he made legend. And legends, they don't die, they echo forever.